Now, if you want medical advice or legal expertise, would you ask someone who made a movie? Well, but we allow actors to tell us about politics, how the world works and should work. And they're pretty much all very left-wing, because that's a trendy thing to be. While, of course, being multi-millionaires. Now, Rick McGinnis is an arts and culture expert, but is not on the left. And he's not a millionaire, unfortunately, otherwise I'd be borrowing money. And I have to ask you this because Hollywood is arguably the most dysfunctional society in the history of the world. That's not hyperbole. If you think about how dysfunctional these people are, they can't keep a marriage together, they're all in therapy, drugs and various addictions. But so many of them, not all, but so many want to tell us how to vote, what to do and how to behave.
Yes.
Why?
Because, okay, have you ever spent any time in the company of celebrities?
Not really.
I mean, extended periods of time, a weekend, say, in an expensive hotel in Los Angeles?
I've got 4 kids, Rick. I mean, yep, soccer, that's quality time. Do I spend weekends in Los Angeles with celebrities? What a pompous yes, darling, always. No, never have
just
done.
Sharing my experience with you.
No, I used to be a researcher for Colin Welland, the screenwriter. He wrote Chariots of Fire.
Right.
So parties at his house, but they were British celebrities, so they had to be careful because if they tried to speak out politically, they were made fun of immediately. But Americans, people don't do that.
Well, the British press is so fun that way. No, in America, the thing is...
So you do a lot of hanging out with celebrities in LA?
I used to at one point during my job, and you'd be flown down there and you'd spend some time with these people or at the film festival. And what you'd learn very quickly is that these people travel in a bubble.
Yeah.
And in that bubble, very rarely do people actually say, no, you're wrong, or, you know, I don't think you know what you're talking about, or that word doesn't mean what you think it does. And that's the thing, is that these people, nobody ever really gainsays them much, is just probably why I think they have a kind of innate sympathy for dictators, because dictators have coteries and handlers and lackeys and people who don't tell them that they're wrong ever. So I can see why the sympathy would start to happen there.
When did this develop? Because if we think of the great celebrities of the past, I don't know, Cary Grant, Clark Gable and people, I mean, John Wayne was known for being more conservative, but he wasn't that political. But most of these people, they didn't speak out politically. Jimmy Stewart was a Democrat, but he you know, the civil rights movement, Charlton Heston marched, wonderful, conservative. But these were I mean, it was an obvious thing to do in terms of being just. But you didn't know all of their politics about every issue. Yeah,
well, that was until the cataclysmic change that was the 1960s in Hollywood. I mean, basically, where the whole movie industry went through this soul-destroying experience where they weren't making the same money they were, and they were making flop after flop and grasping pathetically to try and find relevant subject matter, and then Easy Rider came along. And there was a kind of revolution from within in Hollywood, all very well documented in books and documentaries so far. And this changed. Suddenly there was a younger generation who came along, and they pretty much held thrall ever since then. They feel that they, due to their soul searching and being creative individuals and reading the odd nuzpaper and maybe having a subscription to the New Republic, they can actually tell you what's going on.
It's not just actors, though. I mean, it's rock stars as well. And if Ozzy Osbourne suddenly said, you know, I think you should vote Democrat in the coming election, it's a really right thing to do, you'd say...
That sounded very scouse to me.
No, you don't understand English accents. No, Birmingham is like that. That's not a Scouse accent, it's a Birmingham accent. Exactly how Ozzy Osbourne speaks, you moron. But if he said vote a certain way, you'd laugh. But when Bono, who's equally unqualified
and ridiculous,
speaks out, don't pay your taxes in Ireland, Bono, to help the other people who you should be, go to a tax dodger. But he speaks out and we say, oh, isn't he wonderful? Isn't he marvellous?
Well, I guess he never really reduced himself to the shambolic mess that Ozzy did. But notwithstanding, he doesn't really...
So he writes pop songs?
Yes.
Not as good as Ozzy Osbourne.
He's very wealthy, though.
So is Ozzy.
Yeah, but Ozzy isn't... I'm not trying to defend one or the other. I'm not saying one is more
They're both
sensible.
Unqualified to tell other people, ordinary working people, about world politics. And Bono is one of the, I suppose, the less absurd ones.
Yes, and that's it.
Sean Penn goes to prayers with Ahmadinejad's Nazi bunch and thinks that's entirely appropriate.
And
while people are being...
Chavez, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's just the thing. Look. Here, a little story just to illustrate what I'm talking about. Yeah. To give you an idea, I mean, these people really aren't in touch with reality. A few years ago, I was at a junket in Santa Monica. Lovely, lovely location on the beach with the pier in the background, and Ted Danson. I was sitting for the afternoon next to Ted Danson, and this was during the Democratic primaries.
The guy from Cheers?
Yes.
Is he still around?
Yes, he was. He's a lifelong Democrat, apparently. And,
he's an environmental activist now, isn't he?
For the sea. The ocean is his cause.
Oh, the sea. The ocean is his cause.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
yes.
Right.
So I was sitting next to him, and he's a big Hillary supporter at the time. And this, I guess, Democratic primaries are going on. And he refused really to talk about the movie we were all flown in at great expense to talk about. He really wanted to talk about the primaries, and specifically about Hillary, his girl. And he said something to me and all the journalists in the room at one point, and he said, you know what, guys, it was mostly guys, if you could just have a beer with Hillary, I think you'd see what a great gal she is.
Hillary drinks beer, does she?
Yeah, and you know, and for this man, the idea that we could all just go have a beer with Hillary, because he can, of course.
What happens,
seemed
though?
Normal.
What happens, though, if, well, I know what happens, if you speak out and say, actually, I'm a Republican, actually, I don't support same-sex marriage, actually, I'm pro-life. Your career, I mean, Mel Gibson, whatever his problems, and he was an alcoholic. People have said far worse sober. What he said was drunk. But the knives were out for that man, and for many others far more mild, as soon as they show that they're in some way conservative.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And also, when you're in their presence, you really can't voice this kind of stuff either. I mean, Bill Maher showed up at the film festival at one point with his religious movie.
Yeah, what a twit he is.
Yeah, but,
I wish he'd come on this show. I'll debate him.
Well,
I won't be frightened of this fool.
I tried to debate him. I sat down in a room with 3 or 4 other journalists in a roundtable junket, and I thought, you know what, I really am behooved at this point to say something.
Okay, what happened?
So I start launching in, and instead of trying to debate me on the points, he became hysterical. I mean, he literally, it was like he was shocked that somebody would actually sit up and go, look, you're making a film about religion. I happen to be religious, and I think in a lot of ways, you might have been off base. And the reaction was just, how dare you?
Go back to Los Angeles with your celebrity buddies. I'll go and do the dishes. Thank you for your time.
No problem, Michael.